So,
That's good.
Yeah.
Does it look, the camera looks like, tilted, it looks good?
yeah, it's actually level when you look at the screen. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, roll call. I'll just go ahead and do it because Kelly's not here. Councilwoman Catherine Terry here. Councilmember Ron Harrell.
Here.
Mr. Mayor George Thomas.
Here.
Councilwoman Monica Merritt. Here. And Councilman Bill Coon.
Here.
Our clerk, Joe Huffenberger.
Here,
And our attorney, Mr. Ireland.
Here.
And is she?
I have with me our intern who's just graduated from University of Florida Law School, Kelly Trust.
Congratulations and welcome, and go Gators. Okay, let's see. We have additions, deletions, changes, and approval of the agenda.
if, you want to.
I have a few additions.
Okay.
So one is the, CBDG, grant and change orders. Two, before, a water line for Dee's, Park and John B. Bryant for the flower beds. That one's all. 3 is Buster's retirement plaque. 4 is the train depot, and I don't know how I want to word this. Trespassing, I guess. And for this is not an action item. I just wanted to put an update. I guess it would be for old business for the status of planning and zoning board applications.
Can you repeat that real quick?
So one is the CBDG grant and change orders.
Would that be
Number 7.
number 7?
I mean, yes, 7.
That would be really quick. Okay.
And then 8 is the water line for Dee's and John B. Bryant, new flower beds. 3 is, Buster's retirement plaque. And 4 is the, train depot trespassing, well, not 4, but that was not 4. 10. And then 11 is the status of planning and zoning, board applications. But 11 is going under, it's not an action item, so
So what we're going
just
to
need
do.
an update from old business on that.
So I have one on business.
Yeah, I don't want to old business.
Anybody else have anything? Are these new replacement, job descriptions?
Yes, there's 2 there for the town clerk and assistants of the town clerk. And I'm asking that those be substituted in lieu of the others because they're a lot more detailed and
Okay.
they serve the community better. Yes,
So we have to go over here.
this is one I'll get you the other.
Up here.
Yeah.
Could we put one under 1A just to direct the attorney to work on the sewage ordinance that we need, the mandatory book of ordinance? In 1A, because we need that right behind on that. Okay, under
1A.
new business. Yeah. Sewage and water. Mine is just sewage.
What specifically is that there that I need to be working on?
Well, we're gonna I don't think we've directed you yet, but it's for the a mandatory hookup ordinance for the, like the sewage connection for the wastewater.
And Mr. Bailey, will you touch that briefly when you're up? Thank you.
And I'd like to add to the mayor's one A, we can include it in one A or make it one B, but, update water ordinance. One B or,
We can talk about it, but at the same time.
I think that could be under the same one.
Sewage and water.
I would like to amend my number 5 where I put water line for D's and Johnny B. Bryant. I keep forgetting it's Hills Family Park now, so not Johnny B. Bryant, but Hills. Okay. Good job.
And, on that note, is there gonna be a time to schedule a ribbon cutting or whatnot for the equipment? And the name change?
Once, I would like for it all to be closed out and finalized
Okay,
with, and I think it's still working on it.
Okay, is that it with the additions? So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
You made a motion for that?
I will, it says someone, but I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the deletions, changes.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that passes. Next, approval of the minutes.
Those minutes in the agenda, they're going to,
I don't have them.
Okay,
who has?
The assistant clerk.
So are there any minutes to approve tonight?
There are no, no.
No,
no.
okay.
So we'll wait to do that when they're here. Item 3, public comments. And that's a no going once, going twice. Okay. Item 4, clerk's report. Joe, we'll hand that over to you.
Okay, a few things, one is, the, DOT added 16 additional streetlights on the state roads for the town, Public Works Department to maintain. The compensation to the town was increased, prorated up to around a little over 21,000, it had been around 14,000 before. So, but anytime a light is out, we have to contact the electric company. They come out and fix it, or unless we can just automatically do it, but we don't have a lot of equipment anymore. As you know, Buster's announced retiring, and he gave me a letter that he would be retiring on June 3rd. He worked for the town for the past 35 and a half years. And we really appreciate his dedication to the town. So that leaves a position open, and maybe right now would be a good time to talk about a plaque for him because of his dedicated service for that long a period of time. So
Slips to talk.
would you want me to go out and you know, check out what would be out there for a plaque and maybe work with you to get the board with a sign to do that, or? Okay, sure.
Everybody all right with it?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds great. Okay, so the public works supervisor position then is available, and that's advertised on our website as of today, and it is open to all qualified applicants until June 8th. There's already been a number of interests in it. Anybody interested or knowing of somebody who might be interested can go to the town website, they click resources, and then forms directory and download the employment application. And I'll be asking Earl to assume the acting public works supervisor duties while we go through the hiring process. And so that's where we sit there. The cemetery issue with Carolyn Brooks,
Joe, can I say something?
sure.
For that position, do we have an updated job description?
Well, I have a job description in your packet here,
Okay.
so if that's okay, if you want me to get something more detailed, I certainly can. But that's just a start.
Okay.
Sorry, Jim, did you use the new job description to advertise?
I didn't put it out there yet.
Okay.
I'm asking them to contact us.
So you just noticed that there's a position vacancy, you didn't put any?
Right, didn't put it out yet because I don't have anything out there.
Okay, good.
Okay, then, any other,
I'll go with that. If the vacancy is open for a while, we might have to get a temporary person like, day laborer because that mowing's about to crank up.
yes,
Do we need to vote on that or make a motion?
you can,
I'll make a
What do we
motion.
want, but we need to clarify first about like when we would like for it to start and end, I think, because he's gonna have to have that direction to give to the temp.
again, as needed, some weeks, some time of the year, you're gonna have to cut it twice as often as other times.
Yeah, and that's really about startup, as y'all know. Go ahead.
I suggest that we, authorize it for the duration of the, vacancy of the position. Is Buster gonna take any time off beforehand? Has he got?
He's not said he would.
Okay.
And before we go to the temp agency, can we talk with Buster to see if he would want to do it temporarily for, because he may say, yeah, I do it a couple of days or whatever, and he has historical preference in our town. So I think before just jumping to the temp agency, we should maybe offer Buster maybe PRN temp or whatever we want to be doing. If he wants to, not me say I'm retired and I'm done, but I think
Sure.
we have a discussion with him, and then if not, then we go to temp.
Sure, that's a great idea. Okay, I'm gonna do that.
What would be the payment? We need to determine that too.
Okay, well, I didn't, as you can see, I didn't include payment in any of the, job descriptions because, I have to, what I could do is come back with a range, taking a look at comparable communities and whether they can get somebody,
Okay.
and bring that back to council.
Yes.
Okay, and then, the cemetery issue with Carolyn Brooks, I put a letter in everyone's paper there. It's being worked out, the remaining spaces were located and have been marked with pins around the existing headstones, everything fits within the neat configuration of where it's supposed to go. So, the remaining paperwork would have to be finished then to reflect the town's decision, which includes the application, identification, the proof of ownership and burial rights letter for each plot. And that's what we're working on right now. Okay, then the job descriptions, for, the town clerk and the assistant, I would ask that the ones I put out on the table here would be considered in lieu of the ones that were in the packet. Got a little more time and got a lot more details on it, so it gives you a much more crystal clear idea of the requirements. But the ones for public works would be good to start out with.
question, Jeff.
Sure.
Are you including those in today's packets for us to review over the next 30 days and then come back with a recommendation at the next
We
meeting?
can do that.
Okay.
That'd be good. That'll give you a little more time.
That's right, good, thank you.
Okay. Otherwise, I've worked with the engineers and they've worked hard on getting, like with the wastewater treatment plant to be able to talk a little bit about it, but we had some change orders that were at the tail end of getting everything to you. One of them, by combining phase 1 and 2, saves a significant amount of money, well over $100,000. And so I felt it was well worth to make sure that it happened timely and that we got it in the packet for the night. And just I've also submitted the Wildan proposal to you. It didn't come in a format that was easy to work with, so that'll have to go on the next agenda. But I just put it out there so you get a month to review it. And the important thing is addendum A, which states the compensation and what we're getting. What we're getting is everything in the contract and in the April 9th letter for $85 an hour as needed. So if we don't contact them, we don't pay back.
So can we, write this to Mr. Ireland and have him draw?
Yes, I
Okay,
already
cool.
did that, so unless you direct me otherwise, I'm gonna send every contract to our attorney and resolution for review prior to the acting.
Okay, good. Okay, so, Mr. Ireland, for the next meeting, you'll have had time to review this and recommend to proceed with signing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, a lot of the little things, but, you know, I could pull up the meeting, so, we're working on some grant, records and stuff, and trying to also look at some new grants, especially for the, four-way depot, and, so, as we get those a little further along, I can report, something more substantial to the council.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Any updates on the codification project or the department we've moved from that and update the charter?
I do not have any updates, but I will check and let everyone know where we're at.
And do you know where we're at with closing out the, FERDAP grant for the, parks?
I've gotten all the required signatures of the entities that I asked for. I do not know, what else could be remaining. Again, let me we'll get a status on that and get it out there.
Okay.
And what about set a special meeting date for water?
Yes, we need to, what I would like to ask is about 3 Mondays from now, maybe a week before the next meeting to have it, because I've got to have it out noticed ahead of time, and just want to make sure there's adequate time on that, and I think it's a significant enough issue that we need to spend a meeting just on it.
Okay. Do we wanna look at calendars now, or?
I don't know that I'll be in town the 8th.
Okay.
I might not. Might not.
Okay, Is there any time around that time frame, either before or after what we're recording?
Later that week,
Okay.
probably Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, June 11th? Okay, would that work for everybody, or
Is that the first or the third, or the second?
June 11th is the second?
second Thursday.
What time?
You want to do it at 6 like you normally do, or?
Any preferences here in the community center? Should we do it, I'm asking, should we do it in the community?
You'd have more room.
Yeah.
Uh,
I propose we do it in the community center.
so would you, okay,
So, I'm sorry, what is the purpose of the meeting, just to give us some more information about our options?
the options and detail on the water, so which direction we wanna go and the details as far as why.
Financials and things like that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm not opposed to being at the community center.
And I'm not either. This might not be okay, but can that also be a time to introduce the ordinance of water and sewer? Because that would be the community center where people are anxious to hear about those topics. So could special meeting be water and sewer?
I'm not sure that I have it, but then we'll find out, and let you know.
Would you do it all the way?
2 days after the 11th is the next regular council meeting. Well, either way, so.
So much just through the regular council.
Do we want to move water up earlier than June 11th? Are the water people prepared to present?
I would like to take the time,
Okay.
you know, I mean, if you wanna put it on the council day, deal like this, we could just try to deal with things for that. But it may take a while, it's gonna, longer meeting. I think having it separate, we're probably gonna get more tenants, and if we have an outline of the water and sewer ordinance, it doesn't maybe not have to be finalized, maybe it'll give the people some idea of, you know, what's, what we're trying to do.
Okay. So stick with Thursday, the 11th, at the community center, beginning at 6. Agreed?
I'll get there.
Good, you good?
Good.
Good with that.
Anything else on your plate, Joe?
Not to report at this time. Actually, one other thing in regard to White Depot. The county is proceeding with installing the handicap parking, and the plumbing is broken and leaks in the walls. So we have it turned off, we'll have to get water from a different source. But I've talked a little bit with the county, and basically, our public works crews are evaluating where they can fix it. If they can't, we'll have to get a plumber in. So just to let you know, that's the status.
Okay, good. And just because we're talking about the depot, I did go to that Tallahassee meeting, and the depot was approved through the Florida Register of Historical Buildings, and the next step is to send it to the national level. Shannon Williams spoke, I spoke, Mr. Harrell spoke via Zoom, and they emphasized how important it was for people to be there. And one of the concerns that, and I know what we're talking about, when we talk about it anyway, one of the concerns that Shannon Williams has was that we changed the color of the depot. And the board director, who was an architect, was just crazy about that color and said that was the right thing to do and don't change that again, keep that. So it went real, real well. So does that cover you, Joe?
Yeah, the only other thing that's kind of, I'm going to be working with the town attorney on all the issues regarding Brad Dix, and we're gonna come back and try to get that thing settled, so, it's, I wanna just make sure it runs through the proper channels.
For what? I didn't hear that.
Brad Dix's issue.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I'll say it, I don't know why that's gone on so
I
long.
don't know either, I thought it was resolved.
We should just say, have a good day,
People
Mr.
work
Dix.
to get it. I think
We're still talking about the rezoning of your,
it is.
And fees that were sent to him that he does not owe. And that's not on you, that was before you.
But, okay, so we're gonna be working through it,
Okay.
and, we'll sit down and try to get the thing resolved.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, good. Moving on to item 5, attorney's report.
Okay, I've been asked to look at several resolutions, is this the time y'all wanna hear about that?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
The first resolution is 2021-2015, which is regarding purchasing policy. I've been asked to, I've looked at that and determined that the purchases from $1,001 to $2,500 requires you to violate the sunshine law because it says the mayor must contact at least one council member to confirm he needs purchase. So I've been asked to rewrite that so you don't violate the sunshine law. The second one is 2026-1, which deals with the mayor's authority. I have a question. I wasn't here when it was done, obviously. I have a question as to why it's there, because everything in there, it goes without saying. If the first paragraph says the mayor shall exercise only those powers expressly granted by the town charter, the code of ordinances, or applicable Florida statutes, none of the other powers you have. So if he is required now to do it by those three things, then I don't know what else is there. Then you must adhere to the procedure requirements of the charter and the ordinances. He's got to do that. So why that's in there. And then it says what you can do if he doesn't do what's in there. So I question why it's there. That's my comments on that. 2026-2, I'm sorry.
Would you like to comment after you reach each one? or-
Either way, however you want to do
Okay,
it.
I'll comment on that. So first I'll ask, is there anything, is there a problem with that one, the legality of that one?
No follow the legality. It says what it says, it says
Okay.
what the law is, it says what the law is, and mayor follow the law.
No, that's my only question. So, I mean, that resolution came before the council because obviously there were some issues that, the council needs to bring to the attention of,
I can sign off on that for the legality.
okay. So if that's enough comment, then I'll leave it at that.
2026-2,
Mr. Ireland.
yes, ma'am, sure.
With that, does that clarify whether the vote of the mayor can be
I'm getting there.
excluded?
So,
Okay,
If you don't mind, I'm gonna cut you off, but
okay,
I'll get to that because that's a separate item in my mind anyway.
okay.
The 2026-4 is a resolution regarding the payment of the attorney's fees. There's the Fulton case, which is cited in there, I've read it a couple times. And it says what it says, and it says you can pay those, you're authorized to pay them, and basically, as I read the Supreme Court's opinion, you should pay those. I was asked whether Mr. Harrell could vote. My opinion is that yes, he could and probably should because of what I'm gonna tell you about the voting issue. And, the rental fee waiver is fine with me. Now, let's go back to the voting issue. Florida, I don't know what this has been a question, because Florida statute section 286.012 requires that a member of a state, county, or municipal governmental board, commission, or agency who is present at a meeting of any such body as which official decisions, rulings, or other official actions to be taken or adopted may not abstain from voting in regard to such decisions unless he is prevented from doing so for a conflict of interest set out in 3 different statutes. So that's clear to me. The legislature has decided, and that's settled as far as I'm concerned, but you do have a resolution. Which was 2021 dash, no. 2022-27, which provides in paragraph, and it's the town of Fort White's meeting rules and procedures. Paragraph 7, all town council members in attendance and the mayor or the vice mayor presiding in his or her absence shall vote on all issues unless legally abstaining, which is the same thing as the statute. Does that answer your question? Unless there are other questions, I think that concludes my report. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, that resolution that you just read, from 2022, amended a resolution here from, I believe 2020. 2020-204, did you have that one?
It says, no, I do not.
Okay, that one was signed by Judge Fred Coberline, at the time, town attorney Coberline. And that one was passed by the council, and it says, all town council members in attendance, except the mayor, shall vote on all issues unless legally obtained. The mayor or vice mayor presiding in his or her absence shall not be entitled to vote on any matter before the council, except when the votes cast shall be evenly divided. I have a copy of it if you like. So this isn't the first time that the mayor has only voted in a case of a tie. And the town attorney at the time that the 2025 resolution was passed, he opined that there was no problem reverting back to.
Sorry, I must have misheard something. I thought you said that the 2022 amended earlier resolution.
Yes, that's.
Okay. Do we have somebody have a resolution after 2022 and after 1972, or after 2014, I guess it was, when the statute was enacted, that says that the mayor can't vote?
I'm sorry.
Has anybody given y'all opinion?
No.
After 2014,
So
that says that the mayor can't follow the law?
what I'm saying is in 2020, the town attorney signed off on this. So in my opinion, that's an opinion.
Well, it is an opinion, but then it was amended by 2022.
Right.
I would think that would follow 2022.
Right, and so Mr. Coon was on the council at that time, and so he was on the council when the mayor couldn't vote. And the mayor's vote was changed when, and I'll let Mr. Coon give background on that, because I wasn't here. But
So what you're saying is anything after 2014 is hogwash.
2014 was the last time this statute was amended. And that means it's in by the Florida legislature.
Right,
Which
that's what I'm saying. I don't know, see, I started in 2019. In 2019, our mayor couldn't vote. And we changed it during the pandemic. I mean, except for break of time. Okay, we changed it during the pandemic where he could vote because we had one gentleman that was sick. And we didn't know when we could meet, who was meeting, who could show up. So we changed it back where the mayor could vote. So, I mean, I'm just asking for whatever, for what the law is.
So that's the law, but I didn't know, and it says that you shall vote. Unless you recuse yourself according to 3 statutes, basically which are conflict of interest. Yes, sir.
Mr. Riley, so I know that, from what I recall, the 2020, is that right, Councilman Harris, 2020 statute?
This
Or the
2020,
resolution?
204, yes.
Resolution. So that was also under a different town charter. So I think it was 2023? Sometime after 2020, when we had the new and current town charter, which doesn't mention the voting rights at all. So I don't know specifically the version of the charter back then, maybe it was also authorized per the charter back then, I don't know, but as it's written currently, yeah, it's written now, it's written right now, so.
I must not be communicating as well as I should, because I don't care what the charter says.
The law
The
states.
legislature
Yeah.
says that you shall vote unless you recuse yourself. And the only reason you can recuse yourself is a conflict of interest. Yes,
So
ma'am.
is it your recommendation to us as a council that per the law in the legislature, that our mayor votes?
Yes, ma'am.
So, if I can say, the last time this came up, after our then town attorney signed off on it as to form a legality, we got a change of attorneys and then it was questioned. And so that was back around August, and we questioned why we had two resolutions that were previously signed by two different attorneys, Coberline and Michael Pope. And he's saying you can't. And so this council instructed our attorney to get a legal, an attorney general legal opinion, and that never happened. So I don't know where the council is on that at this point, but our last instruction to our previous town attorney was to get an attorney general's opinion.
I don't know that the attorney general would give you a different opinion than Florida legislature.
We can ask, I mean, that's what happens all the time.
I would like to make a motion that we take the advice of our council and allow the mayor to start that voting.
It sounds like that's what the law says,
That's what I believe the law says.
and
Do,
we're all up here to honor the law.
if that is the law, do we even need to make a motion?
I don't think this is like much.
So what do we do with the previous resolution that was approved?
Because it's not valid because it doesn't have the attorney's signature on it, and your charter says it has to have the attorney's signature on it, so it's really null.
So I'm good with that.
So on that, also a separate issue on that resolution, not the last attorney, the attorney prior to him also changed some verbiage on there, which I realized after the fact, he changed some verbiage on there, which the council did not authorize. So I guess maybe just before you or Joe, I can get with you, he just changed. I think it was an error, but he just flat out changed stuff that we didn't tell him to change. So
It
I think it was
doesn't
an
Over
error.
It's
resolution?
invalid.
It's invalid.
Are you talking about the
Yeah.
resolution? It's invalid.
The same
That's
resolution.
what he's saying is
Well, I
invalid.
didn't know if we fixed that portion of you with that.
No,
Okay,
he's
okay,
saying it's
okay.
invalid.
The 2026-2 is the one that says.
So we just
I'm
reversed the
sorry,
previous.
22-27. 22-27 is the one that says that the mayor shall vote,
Yes.
which is, in my opinion, consistent with the law.
Okay.
So it's pretty close to line approving that one too.
Yes, he did.
He approved one saying the mayor only votes in a tie, and then he approved another one. You know, and the one saying the mayor would vote was the one that Mr. Coon just referred to, that there was a sick council member. And it's a long standing, so it's a precedent, you know, if it was being done wrongly, it's been that way for a long time. You know, I would like to raise the question along the lines that the mayor just did. There were other things that were passed in the 2025 resolution. We adopted Robert's Rules of Procedure and some other things. So can we rewrite a new resolution, and you take care of that.
I'd like to see the 2025 one, because Dr. Robert's rules of order, that's a good,
Oh, we do, I have it here somewhere.
but certainly you can rewrite it and pull a portion of it out that's contrary to the law.
Right, I have all three of them if you want, I'm sure all three of them.
There are not any more questions there.
Do we need to have a special meeting to move the ordinances that need changed? Name several out there that needs work. We wanna include it on a meeting, or do we wanna have another meeting? Change them the way they should be.
Yeah, make a special meeting to,
Just for them ordinances that we need to, that they've been looking at. The straight one,
I'm satisfied with these now, this is what we're doing.
you're satisfied with them?
I'm not satisfied with,
Oh, we didn't never say nothing on the very first one.
well, you got the person's power, you're not gonna do anything until I get back to you, which will be the next meeting. You got the mayor's power, you said you're gonna do that one, I'll sign it, because that's nothing against the law, I understand. You got the payment of attorney's fees for the recall petition, and it's my opinion that that's valid, and I'll sign off on that one, yeah, we can vote on it. And then those are the ones that I have. I'll be happy to look at these others and see if there's anything else that needs to be done, but
No, you said you'll sign off on that one, if we vote on it, we've already passed that
if you don't
resolution.
pass it, I'll sign it.
Yes, okay. On the purchasing policy one, there were other changes made in that one. I think what Mr. Coon might be saying is that we may need to discuss what all we want to change in that. For instance, the town council implemented that procedure of the major having to call another council member because there was a question about an expenditure that exceeded his.
Can't do it.
Oh, I understand. So what I'm saying, we need to talk about what we want to put in place that would be legal, such as call an emergency meeting as soon as possible after the emergency expenditure to get it in front of the council.
Whatever you want to do.
Right.
I was just gonna take that part of it out.
Right.
Just want you to-
So that was put in there to try to prevent something from happening again.
So what are you recommending that it be replaced with?
This might be off base, but I recommend that, the clerk, Mr. Hutchinson, have the and make, the emergency decision.
We're talking about the $20,000, $2,500.
I believe they're saying an emergency expenditure regardless of what the dollar amount is.
Right. And so I think at that time, we lowered the clerk's limit because we had, some less experienced staff in the office. But I would say that we need to look at, putting that back up to a legitimate limit for the clerk. And then, I would recommend that, we just give the clerk a generous limit and the mayor not have a limit unless there's an emergency. And then an emergency limit would be, imminent danger to public health or safety.
What you can do, Commissioner, Councilman Mayor, the first purchase is approved by the town clerk up to $1,000. The second one from the mayor is $1,100 to $2,500. You could make the mayor, if you want to, is what y'all want to do, is give the town clerk the right from $1,000 up to $2,500.
Yes.
And then the rest of it kick in 3 competitive bids and those kind of things.
So just give that limit, high limit to the clerk.
1,000 from 0 to
0 to, what would you all think the appropriate limit would be for Joe?
Whatever.
With the bills, you had time to see, the routine, the historical, bill cycle. What would you say according to,
There's a number of them where I'd have to go to somebody else for approval because very little at 1,000 right now. It's just wasn't,
What about would 2,500 be enough?
well, that would cut back on the amount, that would help a lot. What I could do is you can put in 2,500, see how it goes, if we're still having a lot of them that are not, that are just below that threshold. Right around 2,500 to 3,000 is, you have a lot of them between 2,000 and 3,000. Very little is down real low except, office supplies.
So what about 4,000, 3,000?
Yeah, I say that, because I say let the clerk run the town, because that's why we hired him, he's not gonna go out and purchase,
If it's a major expense though, what I would be more comfortable
Yes.
doing is, kind of emailing the entire council. I had to spend, X amount, and then, you can advise me.
What do you think a reasonable amount for you would be to be able to operate smoothly without having to get a second?
At 4,000, you get the energy bills in there, some of that stuff. That typically, around that amount, would work. I don't wanna give it any higher than you need it,
Okay.
But what I would do is, if I have a higher one or whatever, just let the council know. I can put that, in a report or an email to the council so you're aware. And then if you got questions, you all can, ask.
One thing about emails, do not reply all.
If we just take it away from me, it used to be 5,000, so we can just give them that. We can give them less, we can give whatever you want. If you want $1, we'll give you $1.
Five would probably ensure that the smaller bills do not come to council meeting for approval.
I think five's good. And then one other thing, I just found where we talked about that purchasing policy and, the language that we discussed in the meeting and the council approved, I'll read it again, the council still agrees with this. Under emergency expenditures, as used in this section, the term emergency means an unexpected turn of events that causes an immediate danger to public health or safety, an immediate danger of loss of public or private property, or an interruption in the delivery of an essential government service. As soon as possible after the emergency expenditure, we'll change that, clause in there that you didn't like, or that was illegal, to the mayor, will, call a special meeting. And such action shall be affirmed by the town council at the next council meeting.
And just a thought, it doesn't even have to be me, it could be somebody else who can make the emergency expenditure, or somebody else wants to take that on, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
With that being said, it did cross my mind that there may be a time when Joe's up here and he can't get a hold of you. You may
Yeah, we
be
can
on
put
vacation.
whoever y'all want.
And then the other clause, we had in there was repairs will fall under normal spending limits or the emergency provisions. And the current, policy, I think, says that repairs are exempt, so, that could, something over $1 million could qualify under that.
Yeah, maybe we do what Councilman Coon said, maybe we do a special meeting to go over this and,
I think we should, I think we should spend more time,
Yeah.
it's pretty important.
yeah.
I think you should go ahead and give the clerk the authority, with the 5,000, limit.
are you making that a motion?
I make a motion that we increase the clerk spending authority to $5,000.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So that passes. And I think in general, the larger expenses, we know in advance. An emergency, you do have to deal with, quick notice. And this just leaves me to ask, has anything been done on that truck out there?
Joe.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should do a special meeting, because another controversy, Mr. Ireland, was the whole, how the charter, the verbiage in the charter as far as who the presiding officer is. So maybe we'll just do a special meeting, we'll just go over it then. If that's not right, then we'll just do a special meeting about
Ordinance.
the ordinance, yeah, resolutions, ordinances.
But we just passed the $5,000 limit.
Yeah.
Can we do the special meeting after we've done all the water and the next meeting?
I think so. If I'm gonna call it, I'm gonna call it after that.
Okay.
That concludes my report. Unless there's something else.
I got a question, I mean, about this report, and you guys approved it. Just under my nails here, maybe you could help me. Mr. Charter says,
Who are you?
thank you very much,
Stu, tell us who you are.
Madam Chair. My name is Stu Lopez.
Thank you.
I live 6.5 miles south of the Friday Metropolis Support Way. Like all the taxpayers in Florida, we help support this town. So Mr. Ireland brought up the charter and it says that he has to sign off on the legality of these things, which all towns do. Here's the question. Occasionally, the town council might not agree with you, Tom. And I would ask you to step back in time a little bit to 1955. When no matter what, how many people were in a bus in Alabama, black folks had to go sit in the back of the bus, even if it was empty. What happens when the town council, and of course, Mr. Ireland would tell you, town council, you know, I gotta tell you folks, this is not legal. You can't sit wherever you want. And the law is the law, and you can't, I don't know what you could say.
I wouldn't sign up on it.
Could you say, well, that was the law in the state at the time?
I would sign up on it.
That was, so you wouldn't sign off on it. So he would say it's not legal. So the question is this, and I don't know the answer to this, and maybe Mr. Island can help you, is can this board, this town council, ever vote his conscience? If Mr. Island is now the jury and he's the judge and says this is not legal, but your conscience tells you it's for the betterment of the people of the town of Fort White, and we'll take our chances. Where does the town council go?
My position is to give advice, it's up to them to.
That's right, so it wasn't clear when you said it, the town council can still pass a resolution, an ordinance, or whatever they wanna pass, even if you say, according to your opinion, it's not legal.
Let me give you, see if I can find it.
Right.
I believe it's in your charter. It says that after, once the resolution's passed, then it'll be signed off on by the town attorney, what they call it here.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, 228 is the line on it. Bill 1565, right in that section.
228 from the line through the one I've got.
No,
I have the 2000.
I know, there's no argument there, Mr. Ireland. You have the attorney go sign off, tell people whether it's legal or not. My only question is this, because it's not clear to me, and maybe not the town council or the public, is if the town council says, you know, that's great, thank you very much for your opinion, maybe we want an attorney general's opinion, maybe we don't, but we don't agree with this, our conscience tells us we have to approve the resolution. Anybody can sit anywhere they want on the bus. Do they have to listen to you, or can they vote their conscience?
They don't have to listen.
Thank you, that's all I wanted to know.
No client has to listen.
There you go.
So I do have one question with that statement being made. Sure. With that resolution having been signed off on by the former town attorney, that's the form of legality, and passed by the council, it's already been passed and legalized, so wouldn't we have to rescind it then in that case?
With all due respect, I don't think that you can go over the state legislature.
Well, I understand, but with it being passed, then are you just saying that we don't need to
It's a legal
invalidate?
knowledge. It's a legal knowledge.
So it's nullified by, okay. Now, would that just be the portions that are severability clause, just strike portions of that?
I'm talking about 2020, 22, 27. I haven't seen the 25 that you mentioned, except whenever you gave it to me, I had time to study.
Okay, 22, 27 was the one that gave the mayor
Fire.
the power to vote. The one in 25 is the one that took his, that only gave him the right to vote and tie. That's the one I'm referring to. That one signed off by Michael Pope. I'm just asking if there's a severability clause, does all the rest of that resolution survive? Just that one clause of the mayor not voting?
I'm not gonna give you an opinion until I have a chance to read the 2025.
Okay, all right, thank you.
With all due respect.
Yes,
It says basically in this charter, shall endorse on each his or her approval of the form and correctness thereof.
and that one in 2025, he did sign. Complex issue.
Might be 28. It was 1928.
Okay, so we're good to move on? Let's see. We've got new business.
There's no proclamation.
No.
There was only.
What's our old business?
We have, yeah. So,
New business report? We're going with one.
okay.
Greg?
So status of the, citizen planning board, applications, did we ever get those,
I don't have any further information on that right now. We'll check on that. I know they were kind of working in the office, but, let me get you an update and again, we'll give it to everybody.
okay.
Yes.
I will just say, I think we discussed that, the council was designated as the P and Z board by ordinance, so we have to.
Right, but we were gonna get applications just to see before we resolve
Right.
the, council being the planning consultant. So I was just wanting to know if that had opened up, if you got any
Yes, ma'am.
applications.
Okay, new business. Greg Bailey. With the
Good evening.
sewage.
Both contractors continuing to work. We have had a few, complaints from citizens concerned, well, let's say, driving miles complaints, but we've been addressing those with the contractors as they come up. Just a note, the contractor is required to repair, replace, restore anything that they damage or disturb in the course of their work. Now, that being said, you'll see all the lime rock laying around and all that. When we're doing these trenching activities, especially if they're in pavement, we like to let that sit, let people drive through that. I know they don't like to, but we like to get some activity on it to get the compaction in before we have to do the final paving. So typically the paving part of that, they go to restore those areas, will happen toward the end of the project. So just, you know, if we need to talk to a citizen, that's fine, we'll be glad to do it, but if you guys get the question, you know, I'm really interested as well, kind of thing on that, so. Any questions on any of that as far as how that goes? Okay, we do have 2 change orders, I will start with, I believe it's in our office called contract day, that's on the collection side of things. There were some revisions made. If you recall, we had a couple of easements, I believe it was, that the town was negotiating at the time. That we did, we had to change, the layout for that. So that had to be adjusted. So that's included in the change order. Our original plans, we handled all the existing connections. There were 32 vacant lots that did not have any houses or did not have any systems on there. Because of the depth of the lines, we think it will be a good idea to go ahead and construct laterals at those 32 locations now while the contractors are out there. And then there were 19 new customers that we counted. Some of those were new construction. There were some that had more than one system on a particular lot, so there was an undercount on that. So we included 19 new additional ones for that. We're coming by town hall, but we don't have and don't plan to have a gravity run for town hall. So get town hall, we felt like it'd be good to go ahead while we're here, go into a small grinder pump station, which is just an old site pump station to collect town halls that way. So those are all included. We've had 2 conflicts out there. One was with the water line. The other was with a storm sewer line crossing one of the streets here in town that is Patton Street, but there's no street construction on it, nothing out there that gives any indication. But there was a 36-inch storm pipe running down the middle of that grass area that wasn't aware, so we had to make some adjustments to that. That contract, total that change order comes to $193,480.98. Is what that's less than 3% of the total contract cost for that contract. So we're asking for consideration of that and approval.
I make a motion that we approve the change order for the wastewater treatment plant construction, which combines phase A and B, you said?
No, this is a contract they only collect.
It's just different.
Oh, that's different?
For the collectors.
It's paying this out.
Oh, we're paying this one.
These are
the next
mine
one.
going off, these are
The
mine.
first one was safe.
Okay, well, I make a motion that we approve the change order, for the wastewater treatment plant for portion A, which is the increasing wastewater collection.
I'll second that.
And that comes out of the grant,
Yes, ma'am.
yes. All those, we have a second, all those in favor say aye, opposed? So that passes.
The second one is the wastewater plant contract. That one there is, we adjusted the plant, we had some, golf courses move in, so we adjusted some locations out there and changed that up, still fit within the overall site out there, but, it did cause some, additional cost to the contractor, to avoid those golf courses out there. We also, the plant is composed of a number of tanks that are connected together with hard connections. The phase 2 plant will be right adjacent to that. The soils out there are variable, and the concern is differential settlement. We'll have one tank might settle an inch, the other might settle half an inch, but it will, because of the connection between them will cause disruption to that. The original plans called for the contractor to basically go in there and do soil preparation in the upper 1 foot of that. The new plan is to come in there and excavate down to 8 feet, take that soil out, come back in 12-inch lifts and recompact it as they come up, so that we've got a uniform pad for both the phase 1 plant and the phase 2 plant together. So that once those 2 phases are built, then everything is on one stable foundation, instead of one that might shift between the 2 of them. And the cost for that is $153,398.68. That also is covered by the grant, and it is about 3% of the cost of that, I believe.
So, I have a question. So is this related to like lack of, doing the proper feasibility study before on the side, or?
Well, we had a change in the change in the bearing capacity required by the manufacturer of the plant from what it was originally. The timing of everything was tight at the time. And then as Geotech reviewed the change and everything, they come up that we need the additional soil preparation work.
Right. Cause I had discussed this with Brian Roche back in, July of last year, and consulted with the, Rural Water Association, I think Jamie Hope, and he brought up some issues about, big problem being, sinkholes developing under these things, and brought that up.
This is not sinkhole, this is just variable soils.
Right.
When you get a boring, the Geotech company's gonna tell you, this is only in that one hole, it's not
Right.
necessarily what I'm gonna experience 20 feet over here, 50 feet over there. Kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, I think at that time, he indicated to me that those drillings had not occurred yet, so maybe at that.
They were done late, we had, just kind of go back, the original engineer record on that was Bob White. Bob White got sick in the middle of the project, passed away, and the engineer that took over, thought all that work had been done, there was some information that he reviewed, and then it was late in the process.
I make a motion that we approve the second change order.
I said,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that also passes.
Okay, you asked Mr. Ireland about the mandatory connect ordinances. We do need a mandatory sewer, we don't have one at all, so we need that developed. And I think Mr. Harold asked about the water. I would suggest Mr. Ireland also look at your existing water ordinance. It was quite old whenever it's quite old. It hasn't been updated since it was originally done. I have a concern there's probably been some legislative changes that may not be in that older an ordinance that you may need to update it as well. So, I would like, I think you need to bring, well, we need the wastewater one for sure, but then bring the water into 2026 if you want.
And one of the reasons, that water's going to be updated is because I'm looking at the ordinance 2021-210, which allows, an availability fee to, homes that don't want to connect the water. With them having, mandatory connection to the sewer, we're gonna have to figure out whether we want to do mandatory, connections to, water also, because usually your building is connected with those two, so.
Oh, definitely.
Right, so.
You've got, tap fees, you got availability fees you're referring to, so there's a number of things that may need to be addressed and probably does need to be addressed and updated.
Right.
As well. In the same arena, not necessarily related to that, the town, we need to be really looking at how we're gonna handle the utilities. We've got water being done by the county, or by the utility authority, and then we've got this wastewater plant, so we're gonna need to start talking, because we're gonna be operating these things pretty soon, and getting them up to speed with all that. So, if we're doing it as a town, or we're doing it from the utility authority, we need to start making that decision.
Estimated, I know this is not concrete, but an estimated start date for the sewage treatment plant. Initial
I'm
phase.
looking at first quarter of 2027.
Hey, Mr. Island, one of the things, so DEP is gonna require for this next grant that we have kind of waiting to get an agreement in place, the $12 million grant. Right now, we're currently operating under a $10 million grant. So DEP is gonna require that we have a mandatory hookup ordinance in place. They might let us slide and give us like a 60, 90-day timeline or something, but so that's another reason why we will, in the next 2 to 3, if possible, 2 to 3 months, get that done. We want to write it on.
And Mr. Ireland, the grant covers the hookup for each household business at no cost, so, that's the incentive for them to hook up, but we, you know, still, DEP funds, we've got federal funds for the first phase, and state funds for the next phases for that, water quality improvement grant stuff. But anyhow, they are funding the hookup at no cost to, in the initial installation phase, but after that, you know, then it'll be an impact fee or whatever for hookup, so.
And if we can help you in any way, contact us. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
all right, thank you.
Okay. The next item, payment of Bentley Law Firm bills for Councilmember Harrell regarding the recall election.
And Mr. Ireland, your position is, he's good to go to vote on it, no conflict. Or Councilman Harrell for the legal fees, he's good to go to vote on it, no conflict on it.
That's what Frank said.
I make a motion to pay the fees for the Bentley Law Firm bills.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
So that passes. Mr. David Kraus.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for having me. Last time I spoke to you, we talked about the potential of an MSTU. County Commission is having a workshop this Thursday at 2:00 in the afternoon. Kind of go over them. There's 2 MSTUs, one for law enforcement and one for EMS services. So if the town wishes to participate, we would need you to approve an ordinance for participation before the middle of June, so that it could then be in effect in the fall. So we'll talk about the law enforcement one first, because it's kind of easier to understand. First of all, it's not the town issuing the tax, it is still the county. So if you do the MSTU for law enforcement, the amount that you put in the MSTU would be equal to the amount you reduce on your regular county tax. You're just shifting it from a county levy to a municipal type levy. Since you guys don't levy taxes, it would not really have an impact on your millage rate. That's the whole premise. The whole premise behind it was, so when you look at your tax bill, it says law enforcement, and you know how much money you're spending for providing law enforcement services. Anybody have any questions?
Any update from Lake City? I know you said that the law enforcement one really wouldn't work unless all municipalities in the county got in it together.
Well, it would still work, it would work different.
Okay.
So if everybody in the county did this, then all of the sheriff's budget would be transferred to the MSTU and removed from your general fund taxes. However, if either you or the city choose not to do it, we would levy it on the unincorporated areas, those people would participate. And so still you would get taxed for the courts, for the jail, through the general fund current county tax. But the amount that you would not be funded through the county tax, the one that would be just on the unincorporated areas, would be reduced. For them. For the people paying, yes.
And so what would change if we just left things the way they are?
On the law enforcement side, that would be a decision for the sheriff. You know, if you're not paying into his road deputies, will he put his road deputies in your town? I can't speak for the sheriff.
So I guess my question is, would we still be covered through the current way we are paying for those services?
So the current way, that section which is the road deputies, would no longer be under the current tax code. Your tax bill would be just for, on the county side, the courts, those things that are provided to everybody countywide. Those services that are not provided to everybody countywide would not be included.
So at that point, would we have to seek an interlocal agreement with the sheriff or the county, or?
That's the question you would have to take with the sheriff.
Hold on, so if we're not part of the MSTU, and we're not paying that law enforcement line item that those that do fall under the MSTU would pay.
Mhm.
You're saying that amount would also be reduced from what we normally, like the normal millage rate, and we just would not, so we pay less, or we pay the same amount?
We couldn't stack it and have only a millage rate for the town separate from everyone else. So you either participate in the MSBU or not. There wouldn't be a regular tax plus an amount from the town.
So in essence, they'd be paying less.
Yes.
That was a simple answer.
Would we receive those services?
You may not.
So we would not
Sounds like
have,
a hostage situation.
You could,
Do we know that the county's doing this? You said
Well,
you're
no,
having a
Thursday.
workshop.
We'll know Thursday. But the intent, the board started down this path was to do this for law enforcement. Because again, to the board, it was very important that the citizens of Columbia County understand how much they're paying in taxes for law enforcement. So when law enforcement wants more money, they would come to you and say, we need more money. Of course, as property tax values grow, that MSCU would grow as well. I mean, it's just a regular tax, just like everything else. But it's a wash in terms of those people paying it, because you reduce it on one side, you increase it on the other. I don't know, is there a better way to say this?
so basically, whatever we lowered the millage rate to with the county, taking off the sheriff's part of it. Town of Fort White would pay that same millage rate that we lowered for the whole county. Citizens of town of Fort White would pay that. But then the town of Fort White would have to negotiate with the sheriff some kind of money, one way or another, to control Fort White. That would be on y'all that can do that, to collect for it or whatever. Or the sheriff might say, we'll worry about it, but I doubt that.
so, do you mind if I ask Mr. Iron a question? Do you have any, experience or knowledge of these MSTUs?
None whatsoever.
I was
There
gonna
may be
ask you.
somebody in my office that does, but I can.
Okay, so my question is, for you, can you find out for us, if we choose not to join the MSTU or whatever this is, how, that affects our public safety coverage for the town of Fort White?
Will do.
Thank you.
Now, the flip side of that is this is not a permanent decision. The town can at any time in a given year opt to cancel the ordinance and drop out.
Mr. Kraft. Right now, the village rate is like point, I'm just gonna use whatever, because I don't want
178.
7, 8, yeah. So any idea what it would be lower to-ish?
On the law enforcement side,
I'm not gonna hold you, just a second.
so it is approved just like the regular millages. So it would be on your trim notices, it has to go through the trim process. The maximum amount according to the study would be slightly over 5 mils.
Oh, so a little over 2.5.
Because the majority of your property tax goes to the sheriff.
80% goes to church. Right, that's what the church.
And people don't realize that, but the majority of what you pay your property taxes for is the sheriff. Most of the other services are funded through state tax, state revenues, fuel taxes, sales taxes, those types of things.
Okay, so from 7.8 to just over, so, okay, so we're like a third.
Yeah.
I can call, now I'm definitely going to call the sheriff and ask him to see what, cause like I said, he might be like, hey, no problem. Or he might say, hey, we'll charge you, I don't know, so I'll jump off and ask him just so that we know what's going on with us.
then the second one is the, for EMS. I'm gonna be very blunt. Our EMS service, especially in the south end of the county, is not adequate. We have a contract. Contract does not adequately provide for EMS services in Fort White or in the southern half of the county. If we go forward with this MSTU, that would shift that burden, what we currently pay our provider, to the MSTU, reducing the regular property taxes. But in addition, we would like to add ambulances with the MSTU, specifically for like Fort White and the very northern end of the county, because we know with one ambulance here, you're never gonna have adequate service. You're just not. And so the question is, if they go on a call, the call takes 20 minutes to drive to Lake City, or 20 minutes to drive to Gainesville, and of course 20 minutes to drive back, plus the time they have to wait in the emergency room till they take the patient over. You're talking about not having an ambulance here for 2 hours, or up to 2 hours. If you have to call an ambulance from Lake City, it takes 20 minutes to get down here. So again, we feel by adding an ambulance that would be run by the fire department in the southern end and the northern end of the county, when they got a call, you would still have EMS protection. So we would like to build that into the MSTU, and that's something we're going to be talking about Thursday at the workshop.
And this is something I've been pushing for 5 years.
The MSTUs. You're saying the MSTUs are.
MSTU or another end.
Just having ambulances there
Or
was
some kind. But just be fair, be pretty fair, North End, they have the same problem. But we have a lot more population down here than they have in North End.
You have more calls here than they have up in Deep Creek and further north, because you have more people. I mean, you get up to the northern end of the county, a large part of it's force, and there just isn't the population density, there isn't the amount of calls for service, but it's still the same problem. You know, you go on a call, there's no coverage. So that is a problem that we feel we need to address.
But it's only a problem for 2 commissioners, and it takes 3 to pass.
With us having more population, why don't we have more ambulance than Deep Creek?
You have one ambulance, they have one ambulance, it's based on calls for service. I can tell you right now, under the former ambulance provider, they were averaging 15,000 calls per ambulance on average. Most counties our size are less than 1,300 or 1,200 calls per unit. So they're running their ambulances harder, they had used equipment, they're wearing out their staff, so they have had troubles keeping ambulances on the road. This new provider has come in, made lots of promises, and he's going to speak at our board meeting Thursday, say what he's going to do to try and address it, but bottom line is, as of today, they don't provide the number of ambulances that are required in the contract. They just don't have them, whether it's staffing problems or equipment problems. They're just not there. So without that, we probably, the contract requires 5 plus a 6th one during kind of shift. Realistically, given the call volumes in Columbia County, you probably need closer to 8 to adequately provide life-saving capacity to our community.
But to get 8 ambulances, how much we estimate it's gonna cost a year?
But we're going to do 2 ambulances a year and supplement the contract.
I'm just saying.
So that when the
we
contract
sub it out,
comes up in
then-
3 years, we'd be in a position to make a decision whether to continue the contract with the county supporting them in kind of a hybrid model, or whether to do it ourselves. So it would be 2 ambulances a year for 4 years if the Board of County Commissioners choose to go that route.
So is it wrong to look at this as if you want the county to coordinate your EMS services and public safety services, you all need to sign this?
I would say it this way, if you want better service than you currently have, I would strongly encourage signing this. because that's the only way you're gonna be able to fund improved EMS service. And it really is a critical life safety issue.
Well, my question is that the only way we're gonna get services from the sheriff and EMS?
The sheriff
Because if
is
we
the-
don't sign this, we're gonna have to fund our own police department or our own ambulance services?
That would be
That's my
up to you if
question.
you want to fund your own police department.
But what if we don't wanna do that? We just still wanna keep getting what we've got from the county.
You may not get it.
That's,
I mean, I don't want to say something, because I'm not the elected official. I can't tell you what the commission will do, I can't tell you what the sheriff will do. But I do know that if the board elects to allow us to add ambulances and you don't do the MSU, there is a possibility the ambulance is assigned in the south end of the county, but not in Fort White. And they say, well, let's put it in Ellisville. We know there's calls for service in Ellisville. And I'm saying they would do that. That is a possibility. And I don't want to say that because I don't want to make it sound like we're threatening you or trying to hold you hostage, because that's not really our intent. But we just feel this is the only way we're going to be able to provide better service by going through the MSTU process.
Well, I'll say it, that's exactly what it is holding us hostage, but we have to have the service. My suggestion would be to wait and see what happens Thursday and then move from there.
Yeah.
And attend the
I
meeting
mean,
if possible.
nothing's happening to us, but this is not happening all over the county, right?
Or,
I'm not saying Lake City.
or the United
Lake
States.
City's totally different. Okay?
It's not gonna cost.
But it's not costing us no more than it's costing the county to do this. Y'all just doing it this way to bring awareness to what it's costing the taxpayers?
Yes,
I'm not
I
saying
mean
that,
theoretically, the county could raise taxes.
I think it'd be that.
If they would.
I wanna make clear, I'm not saying it's negative as much as I'm saying it realistically. Realistically, it's gonna cost more money.
Yes,
Do a lot of people take that as a negative? Yes, but it's a realistic characteristic of the world now.
but at the end of the day, it would still be the county imposing that tax. It would
Yes.
not be the town imposing that
Yes.
tax.
and each household in the MSTU would pay the same amount. We would be
Yes.
paying, just like we do now with taxes.
It would be a levy. It is a set amount.
And do we see this in other counties, either surrounding or somewhere?
Yes, Alachua has an MSTU, there's about 10 or 12 that have, law enforcement MSTU, and it does a lot for the EMS.
Lots of counties done that, some Citrus County's done it, and several counties Florida doing it,
Lake County does it.
Lake County does it.
There was a study done, and certainly I will share that with the board. The biggest issue the reason I bring it up is how it will affect your meetings. I don't know if you have to read an ordinance twice, or only read an ordinance once, but it would twice. So we would need you to vote on the ordinance twice before the middle of June if you want to participate.
If we're a month late.
You can't,
Oh, I thought you said we could join whenever. Oh, okay.
no, you can, any given year, you could vote to not participate. But we would need you to participate before the end of June, or before the county commission approves the MSTU, or else they'll approve an MSTU that does not include the towns. So we would need you to adopt it for, I think it's the 18th of June? The 18th.
And we need to adopt it before y'all do it?
Yes, 'cause that way we
We
don't
all need to
participate.
adopt by 18th of June.
So I sent over copies of the proposed ordinance that were drafted by Heather Ensignosa from Neighbors Gitlin and Nickerson. So you should have that. Basically, when the Board of County Commissioners has to adopt the MSTU, they have to adopt it one way if the city and town are in, and a different way if the city and town is not in. So by June 18th, we need to know who's in, who's not in, because that affects what the county commission has to adopt. County commission has to adopt their ordinance before July 1 for it to take effect in October.
Realistically, Commissioner Ford, what do you think? I mean, as far as if we say we don't do the one for EMS, the MSTU for EMS, or either or both. I'm asking specifically for EMS. How do you think that would play out realistically?
I'm on Commissioner 5, like I told you.
I know, no, it's not a promise, it's just,
Yeah, so I don't know what they would do. It would be discussed at the meeting, there'd be decisions made, you know, it'd be voted on.
Like I said, in all likelihood, that ambulance we wanna move to the south end of the county, if you're not in the MSPU, probably would not be located in Fort White.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, y'all good?
I have a question with regard to what you was, talking about, and you guys briefly talked on it as well. So the town doesn't collect an ad valorem or any property, any tax, the county does. And at a county meeting, they mentioned that the county provides these services for EMS and law enforcement. I went through the county's budget for 2025-26, and the amount for law enforcement is about $26 million. How much of that is what percentage of that applies to your budget? Do you know?
You talking about for the?
Yeah, for the full general fund of your budget, 25 million is how much? What percentage of your total revenues, or do we know?
Well, our budget was six.
Total budget is probably 160.
The general fund?
No, not the general, that's all our
Total
funds,
budget.
17 different funds.
That's gas tax, everything, I mean,
So
courts,
the question is then, is the millage, and I heard you say, the millage rate will go down then? So on our tax bill, we'll see a millage rate go down for county tax and then assign a line, so what would be stacked?
Right.
you would see a.
Because the ordinance doesn't say that right now.
So you see that along with, for village, make that process. You would see a law enforcement MSTU, and you see a, ambulance MSTU, or person.
Okay, and if we choose not to join the MSTU, the town of Fort White, and those services are no longer being part of your general fund, does the town then get a kickback from the taxes that you collect?
So the town would only pay the Avalon, they wouldn't pay the law enforcement.
You'll just pay whatever it is
Because
used
down
to,
Fort White, you would just pay Avalon,
but it's
Could affect your service.
but it could affect
Yeah,
service.
right, okay.
So bottom line is, it's not gonna cost it, citizens of Fort White's not gonna pay any more or any less than any other citizen in the county by doing this. It's not gonna cost them any more or any less.
No, it's just-
And
I
if
read
they
through
don't
the
do it,
ordinance.
they would just pay ad valorem, but then they have to negotiate services.
Yeah, so I read the ordinance and there wasn't no mention of lowering the current millage rate. So that's the question, but maybe that's something to look into. If you're going to join, have some kind of, this is coming down and this is going to be moved over, but there's no mention of that right now. It just seems like it's gonna be stacked. But if that's not the case, then that clarifies.
That's not it.
By law, you have to reduce
Yes,
the one
Have to
side
do
fee,
this.
because you can't double bill.
Okay,
And everything in the MSCU has to be used for the reason you're levying the tax.
I'm speaking for myself, but one, we have to have those services. And two, we wouldn't be saving money, the line items just change. Yeah, it's just a different way of billing. Anyone
Going
else?
up either way,
Do what?
going up either way.
Yes, but unfortunately, that's normal.
I have a random question. Put anything
Come up here,
down to.
please, and Rocky, we're gonna have to. You're full,
I'm
man.
kind of in the front.
So, put anything on that be going to
Yeah.
contracts bolts. I do computer repair. I service Windows, Linux, and also DJ and karaoke on the side. I was wondering about with this police expansion, from Columbia County, that include all these spot cameras we see popping around and ALPRs. I see more and more than just coming up everywhere.
Yeah, that's, I think we're just talking about required basic service.
that might be a question for the sheriff specific, how they can, well, make them look at.
So that would not affect on cameras or any of that stuff. That's actually mostly done by the city of Lake City. Sheriff actually is not really very supportive of that in terms of how areas of the county.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're good?
That's the question.
Yes.
Do we need to add this to the special meeting that we've already talked about? Because if this is gonna need to be,
We gotta get 2 votes in before that. We gotta get the second one in about then.
The second one can be on the 15th. If we vote at the special meeting on the 11th,
Mhm.
then the second one can be on the 15th.
There's a time in between the two meetings to do it. I mean,
Might be.
we can vote on the ordinance within 3 days of each other, the first and second reading. What I'm asking.
Or
Might be a week.
for the next week, yeah. we could-
And that ordinance can't be added onto the agenda tonight, no.
No.
Yeah, we could, just, I guess, to give the attorney a chance.
Do some research and
Yeah.
list our options.
The first and the eighth.
Basically, Mr. Byron, you need to come back and letting us know if you join, this happens, and if you don't join, this is what happens.
And he's more than welcome to reach out to Heather Enspinoza, who's the attorney in Tallahassee, that pretty much is the expert across the state.
I think we're safe to put it on the meeting for the 11th and take it off if we don't need it, but I think we should add it to the special meeting.
The 11th. Oh,
For
the water.
Sure.
Add it on the water, okay.
If you add it for the 11th, I'm
So-
supposed to.
So it wouldn't be a special, so the 11th is not a special meeting, it's just a regular general. meeting.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Good.
That's
and
fine,
we,
we can,
we may have to have a few additional regular meetings just to get all this stuff
that would sound good.
off the plate. Cause some of this, not this MSTU, but some of this, we're just spinning our wheels round and round and round. We've been talking about that wastewater ordinance for a year. And it's time to move on. Okay, with that,
Hold on a minute.
yes, sir.
If we do this on the 11th, are we gonna have time to do it the second read if we decide to do it?
Just another way to go find out, I don't know the answer to that.
So
Oh, I
we'll
see,
know
on the
the,
15th, oh, on the
What?
15th.
so we'll know the 11th if we can vote on it on the 15th, I guess.
You'll know before then, once I get this answer, I'll tell you.
But then
But we'll
what
need
if
to-
we can't,
Right.
will we miss the deadline?
Of the 18th, right?
So you put
Will we
on,
miss the deadline of the 18th if we can't?
When's your regular meeting? I know it's the next month.
It is the 15th, but
No,
we're trying to
that's
see.
the 15th.
Well,
Well,
I'm
that's
trying
what
to
it's-
know if we hadn't waited in between or not.
Well, you may be,
That's what I'm wondering legally, do we have to wait so many days before we have a second
I
reading?
don't know that.
you may be able to call for both hearings at one time, and then if you turn it down on the 11th, it would take it off on the 18th. I could be wrong, I don't know your charter, and I'm certainly not an attorney, don't wish to be, but, I think it's personal. But, I would think that that would be doable, because that would give you the public notice. You know, I think the issue is public notice and how
Yeah,
far in advance you provide that public notice.
I think we should just do like, just separate special meeting, one item. Hopefully relatively quick, do it to make sure we have at least a week before the 15th. That way we're not running up against anything, but that's just my,
Great, I think if you notice them all at once, at the same time, and then like you said, it
yeah.
would probably okay.
what is the significance of the 18th? Is that a deadline that the county came up with, that you all,
That's a state deadline, you have to do it by the end.
The 18th is our normal meeting, second meeting of the month. So the third Thursday of the month would be our meeting where we would be adopted. So we would need a week. Maybe. We'll figure it out, yeah. I mean, theoretically, the board could call a special meeting.
I was gonna say, or we could call a special meeting too. But we have to have it in by July 1st.
It has to be
so if
adopted
it was
before
a
July
few
1st.
days past, you all could call a special meeting once we, like, if we couldn't get it, the second vote on that Monday, which is our next scheduled meeting for the 15th, if it was 2 days past, it would be life or death, we wouldn't be without services.
Right.
Okay.
So we could call a special meeting towards the end of the month, absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Iron, I don't know if you're looking at the charter, but, I'm looking at section 20 of the charter of the 2023.
It's in here somewhere.
Section 20. It says, the ordinance shall be passed unless it's read at 2 meetings, and they struck through not less than 1 week apart. So there may not be a week, requirement anymore.
5 days, statute is 10 notice, so. You have to notice 10 days before.
But I think that's what Joe was talking about, noticing both meetings.
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah. We may be.
And I think they can be back to back like that, because this ordinance that we're talking about with the waste goes back as far as when, Lindsay Lander was helping us. He said you could just turn around and do it the next day. Yes, sir.
And if the town would like, we can do a, Dennis is actually, they're kind of working on it. A meeting for the citizens just to learn about MSDUs and how it works. And we would bring in somebody.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So if that's what the town wants, we'd be happy to do that.
That'd be great.
Okay, I'll coordinate it. Yes, yeah.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we're good to move on from that. Legal services agreement with Folds Walker.
It's in the back,
Yes,
that's what Scott has done, so that's what, unless you want to change it, we approve.
Yeah, I just, we put that in there because we just had a simple approval, now we have all the details. You know, so, if you have any questions on any of it.
It looked good to me. I think the changes we requested at the last meeting were in there, and then the, it says all other charter prescribed duties. So the only question I had was, I know Mr. Walker said that even though you're doing, one set fee for general legal services, he still provides like a detailed bill that come to the town.
Yes, he'll provide a detailed bill for you, and it's gonna include outcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I make a motion that we approve the legal services agreement with Bowles and Walker for legal services.
Stu, did you want to say anything else with that? I know that you had.
I just had the question. Thank you very much, Madam Presiding Officer. My question is this, I know Scott Walker said that you guys do a 99, that's what he called it, it's some 99, each community has a 99 with the itemized bills. But my question is, it's not in the contract. So you send a bulk rate bill with your agreement, which is $4,000 a month. That was fair enough or not fair enough, whatever they decide. But the itemized bill, he mentioned at the meeting, you were there, which gives the town a track record, so to speak, of what their fees are for whomever they're speaking with. But it's not in the contract that you provide that. I learned a long time ago, it's good enough to say, it's good enough to write, and that's not, that's not in there. So I would presume, I know there was one town, I inquired about your invoices, and it appears they couldn't find the 99s. I don't even think they knew they were supposed to get them. So my only point to the town council and you is, I don't vote on anything, before they approve it, if whatever Mr. Walker spoke about as far as the itemized bills, that would appear that the council may want to consider putting that in the contract, that with the bulk bill, they also get the itemized bills.
Madam Chair, I suggest that Mr. Walker talk about that because he does the billing. And if it's something that, if he knows what the 99 is, then he can get put in there. We'll do whatever we said we're gonna do.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
And I would like to see it all broken down, which is what Stu's saying, correct, Stu?
All the bills, yeah, I still go out of there, that way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I do, thank you.
Could they just add a clause that?
Yeah,
would require the itemized billing as part of the approval.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we approve this with the addition of a clause that would be required that the bill be itemized monthly.
I say,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Payments of Powell Consulting invoices for $4,050 and $1,200. This, you were gonna do a little investigating on?
Basically, he made a mistake, he was signing the thing, it was the year before. There were services that were needed because there were some things that needed correction that were outside the scope of the contract for the audits. And so the work was done, there was an agreement, and it was not run through council, but it's an amount of money, $5,200. I talked to the gentleman, he said that he would possibly accept a little less, but it wouldn't work for us anymore if we did, but it was work that was done.
I believe, if I remember correctly, at the budget workshop, we discussed, Kelly, I think was the clerk. She added that item. I think it was only it wasn't the full 4,000 or whatever the bill is now. And so the council approved it, and we talked about it, that she could go ahead and get one, but it is over the budget.
Can you say that, the budget,
Yeah, so
it's in the budget, is that?
yeah, the line items of the budget, but not the full, it won't cover the full 5,200.
Sorry, I don't
So there is a
understand.
line item in the budget
For,
that Kelly added for accounting services. Because she knew once Carrie left, that she knew she was gonna, Carrie was gonna do all that.
because I remember talking in one meeting, I don't know which one, and I said, do we need to hire another bookkeeper? And she said no, but I don't know how this happened. But I think there's two issues. One is that Kelly didn't have the authority for the charter to sign a contract. Second issue is over the clerk spending limit, so. And then I looked over the bill, actually just today, prepping for the meeting, and on the bill, there's 4 hours on 2/26 for prepare for and attend workshop. And I went back to look, and we didn't have a meeting on the 26th. We didn't have a meeting on 2/26. So.
That might have been the dissolution, town dissolution that I asked them to prepare the financials for that. Now, you're right, that's the wrong date, but.
That was prior to the 26th. So, I mean, there's just multiple issues with this. Clerk signed the contract, exceeds their authority. The, gentleman, it looks like it was executed by him a year ago, but I think Joe said he made a mistake on that, and there's a mistake in billing, so. I don't know, I think we need to do a little further investigation on this. What was the line item we approved in the budget for bookkeeping?
I can't figure out what he's done here.
So they needed, Kelly needed, help with a year-end closeout. So when they come and they do the audit,
Yeah.
there's always adjustments that need to be made. Nothing is ever recorded perfectly. Now Carrie was the one working on doing all those corrections. She was good at that. So she could have done it for probably, well, I don't think she would have needed an accountant, because that's what she used to do at her previous job. Kelly needed the account to go all of it. as far as making some of those specific entries. Yeah. Plus what I requested from him for the workshop. But let me find what you guys want.
Did, go ahead, Jim.
But on this invoice, it's just got work closeout, work on closeout, well, I mean, work on report, what report? I mean, there's a lot of questions to me on that. Look like he just done some billing.
To me, closeout, I take it as the year.
On-site visit, what was it, on-site visit, 3.5 hours, don't say what he did. Just he charges $150 an hour for 3.5 hours, says on-site visit.
The meeting.
No, it wasn't that meeting, the meeting's listed right here, prepare for attending workshop.
That was also 3.5 hours, I think.
That was 319,
I have a lot
I'm
of
sorry.
concerns.
Or if you wanna,
36.
yeah, let me find that.
If you, assume what the mayor just said, that the date on 2/26 was for the meeting on 2/17, there's 3 hours billed for 2/16, which would obviously be prep for the meeting on 2/17. Then there was an hour and a half on 2/17. And then the 2/26, 4 hours, that's 8.5 hours to talk at that workshop that there's about 20 minutes. All I remember him saying is that we had $600,000 to spend. I think this warrants a little further investigation, and in addition to looking at the services provided there, look into the two other items I mentioned, the clerk signing the contract without the authority and exceeding her spending limit.
I have a concern with that.
Well, I don't think she exceeded the spending limit because the money hasn't been spent, but she incurred the cost, yeah. She didn't spend it. Purchasing policy says she can't spend certain amount, clerk didn't spend that amount. What were you gonna say?
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm not sure with that one. I think it's a problem that she exceeded her limit by signing it. And all these hours, I don't understand why all these hours are in February, and that could very much be on me.
Well, some of them were March, the next page.
Yeah, but I know, but closing out an audit from September.
With Kelly signing the contract or authorizing the contract, however, whatever. In Kelly's situation, in her defense, she's the only one here. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. She gonna get flacked either way. This is something that the town needed and had to have done. So I don't think that we so much dwell on, okay, we let Kelly know that, hey, you shouldn't have done this. You were outside. But I don't think we could do anything about it when it comes in regards to paying this guy for his services. We go line item for everything, for every service. We didn't go line item for Lonnie's attorney bill. And there's a lot of discrepancies on there that I've seen. So I'm just asking us to be fair and equal. We always hone in on Kelly and what Kelly did. She did the best that she could do, being that she was here by herself. So yes, she did it. Is that something she should be counseled about, that she shouldn't do it again? Probably yes. But I don't think that should be in consideration of whether we pay this bill or not and looking into the invoice.
Not sure.
Yes.
I didn't say nothing about Kelly on myself. I'm questioning the way he sent this bill to us.
Understood. Yeah.
That's what
I
I
question the bill too, but I'm saying honing in and attacking Kelly about, something that had to be done to close out for the city, that is, and she should be counseled about it. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that shouldn't be a factor in whether we pay this bill or not. But that should be addressed with her, that is not appropriate.
And we all have an opportunity to question any bill or anything that comes across our table. Go ahead.
So what I was gonna say is that Kelly wasn't the only one that knew, obviously the mayor knew, because he utilized her services, or Mr. Powell's services. None of the rest of us knew, but he showed up at the community center down there the other day, and I thought he was doing it out of the kindness of his heart, you know, but anyhow, I know other people question it.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. A couple of things on this. This is why you just agreed to get an itemized bill from the attorney, because that ends all the questions. This has nothing to do with Richard Powell. If you look at the hospital authority bills, he just bills whatever he wants, he writes a thing, and there's no explanation. This is for years. And I asked during that meeting at the community center, and Mr. Thomas, you remember when I walked in, the first thing I asked was, how did he get here, referring to Mr. Powell? And you looked at me like I had rocks in my head. But no answer. He got there because apparently somebody asked him to show up. Now, if you look at these invoices, I mean, on-site visit, okay, that's probably part of the closeout, that's $450. But if you look at this other stuff with the wrong dates, just like the contract, and you know, you can defend people all you like, but the facts are the facts. You got the wrong date, and he charged you $450 for a date that nobody can even understand what it is. Nobody knows how it gets paid to tell. You know it's Walter Walker, you know what they're charging. You look at the 99 form, you look at the bill that Mr. Bentley charged the town council to defend the recall, that was itemized. You must have looked at the wrong bill.
No, I looked at it, it's very itemized, but sometimes .8 is billed for a certain amount, and sometimes in other areas,
What's
it's billed for a different amount.
pointing out, Madam Chair, is that there's nothing itemized on this. It's the wrong dates, and the times are phenomenal, and this city this
Sorry.
city council has.
Come on, honey. I'm the lady that the sewer plant is right in my front yard. Just would like to discuss that.
What?
I'm the lady that the sewer plant is in her front yard that we never notified. Hi, honey.
Oh.
We're having a meeting and they told us that it will be addressed today.
Ma'am.
Go talk to you in a minute. Have a seat.
Thank you.
You come in. You got a break? Okay, have a beat.
Yeah, we're not supposed to have it today.
Thank you, they'll talk to you in a minute. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So, in the future, we need to get these things analyzed. I know that I looked at the audio, video, and I had other people look at it, that Dick Powell was at that town meeting for 20 minutes. He gets up and walks down, and it looks like he charged like $450 for that day, or something like that. How is that even possible? So, you know, all I'm asking you folks, I write stories, this is a story to me, is that you need to be on top of these folks, because it's everybody's money that you're paying. And this is not an itemized bill. The town clerk, the acting town clerk wasn't authorized to do this. The whole contract is funky. I mean, Dick Powell, and this is my final statement, I've been watching him for 20 years, he's been doing this for 40 years. You're telling me he doesn't remember the date? He doesn't know he came to a meeting and he's making these kind of mistakes? And just so you know, that Powell and Jones, he doesn't do no audit here anymore. That company was sold. So it's other people that are doing it. They even use the signature, Powell and Jones. It's kind of funky. It's the same exact signature of Powell and Jones. So everybody thinks it's Powell and Jones, but it's not him. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. I don't think you should pay this because it's everybody's tax money, but that, of course, that's up to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Talking to everybody for years.
At minimum, I think we need to make more inquiries about it through Powell as well as through Kelly. And I know that when the auditor did explain the audit, they did say that they were no longer, Powell and Jones had been sold, blah, blah, blah. And so I don't have anything against him, I'm sure he's qualified, but he was not authorized to do anything for us. I'll make a motion to hold off
I
on
table
the
it.
payment for investigation. Does anyone second?
I'll second that motion to table this item pending investigation.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And, Monica, you are an aye? Okay. Okay, now we've got the added list.
Oh, number 7. So the CBDG grant and change orders. So update on that, the houses are completed. And I guess the contractor's holding the keys because of some change orders. Change orders that neither the candidates for the homes or the town knew about. So the first change order was for septic and sewage and more dirt. Which I'm referring to my parents. And the only reason I knew is because my parents were involved. If any other, I don't think if they weren't involved, we would have known nothing about this. So I started asking questions. So the initial approval of the bid, I think it was like $170,000 or $69,000. I'm not sure what it was, but so the first change order came for $12,750 for sewage and drain field. And I called Mr. Heffenberger and he said it's good, it's within the quote amount, I'm at the bid amount, and you know, it'll be nothing extra. I had questions after the second change. I had questions about the first one anyways, because the sewage, to install a new septic in the drain field, $12,000. That is absurd for a 900-gallon septic tank or whatever it is. That's the lowest minimum. So I did my homework and I called around, and basically a sewage system that size with the drain field included is around $4,500 max. So these people are billing $12,000 for the sewage system, and then additional $750 for dirt, which I don't know what the dirt is for. The second change order was for electrical, because they didn't know that the power had to be underlined, which is, you know, fine. That was $2,000. But my question to them was, how is this? So as a contractor, you do your homework and you do your bids based off your homework. You should know these things, right? You should know what septic is and sewage is. So that should have been included in your bill, in your bid. So I don't think this should be reflected on the candidates that receive the housing for them to hold their keys of moving in. The houses are completed. The candidates did the portion that they were supposed to do and were approved for the housing. These change orders and everything, if it's outside of the initial bid amount or whatever it was allowed for change orders, I don't think that that should be a reason to hold the keys and that these people move in. Now, what they've done, and I talked to Andy Easton, and I'm not satisfied with the way the consulting went for this. There was lack of communication. They didn't tell us anything. They had the contractors dealing with paperwork, which the contractors should have never been giving the homeowners any paperwork or dealing with any paperwork for North Florida Professional Services, because we pay them for consulting, or they get paid out of the grant or whatever. The contractors themselves were delivering paperwork, having them sign paperwork, explaining things to them, and all of those things. Tara from Tallahassee basically stopped communicating with me, and all my communication came from North Florida home builders. That they're contractors. They don't. I shouldn't have to talk to them about anything. So that's another big thing. So I called Andy Easton and I asked him about it, and he was so I asked him about these change orders and all these things, and he said, Well, the only thing that we do as a consulting, service is recommend that you all go with the lowest bid. And I said the lowest bid is always not a stewardship of the federal or the grant money or, you know, at the time, cause sometimes we all know that cheapest isn't the best, like, so we end up spending money on the back end. So my thing is that I think, and this is my personal opinion, you put in a low bid and then you came back and tried to close the margins with all of these change orders. I think that the town should require them, so what they're doing now, and this is part, what the Terra and the the builders are requiring the candidates to put in an additional application for SHIP funds to cover these amounts. And their recourse to it is because the SHIP funds are free, they don't have to pay it back. Okay, the home was free and they don't have to pay it back either. There was a prepayment clause, but there's a 5-year lien on their property. Well, with the SHIP fund to pay for their change orders and things that they didn't foresee, which wasn't unforeseeable. Were things, I mean, I built a home and I knew what the switch was going to be and I knew what the underground electricity was going to be before I even started the process. So these were not things that they didn't just come upon that they didn't foresee. These were things that they added on the back end, I think, to close the margin of the bid. But, so with the grant, with the candidates having to go before SHIP, it'll put an additional 10 years lien on their properties. That wasn't disclosed to them, that wasn't discussed with them prior to that. That was, and I just think it's wrong. So the way this whole process was done and the communication being through the contractor and not through our consultant or the town was totally wrong. And I don't think we should honor these change orders. And I think these people should be allowed to go ahead and move in their homes.
That's good.
Mhm.
Do you have the change orders there?
So I have my, I don't know, Mr. Heffenberg may have the other candidates, but I have my mom and dad's change order.
Okay, can we get a copy of that?
Mhm.
Joe, can we get a copy of it?
Sure, Roy.
And those septics that they are not the nitrous, septic tanks, they're just the regular septic tanks.
Okay, I see there's 12,000.
So I'll be naive. Why is there such a lean period if all this is, grant?
Because sometimes that is the way grants work, so they're free basically, but it puts clauses in there where they're just not gonna go build you something and then 2 years down the road you sell, you get a profit from it.
Got it.
So that's why it's that way. But with SHIP, which these people they would be putting an additional 10 years lien on their properties that they worked so hard to pay for that additional amount that the contractor went over budget, his budget, that he initially submitted to the city.
And what's the consequence if we do not approve the change orders? I mean, they just throw the keys away? Cause we can't have that happen.
I don't think,
So I was gonna ask, have these been executed and authorized yet or anything?
the first one was,
That's-
that was the one that Joe said there was still funds, there was no problem,
That's what they.
cause that's what he was told.
That's what I was told. I had really, I got at the very tail end of it after all this happened.
I see where it looks like SHIP funds were added.
And I'm not sure if they added that after,
Right.
or
They added after the signature.
they added that after the signature. I'm glad you
Possibly.
verified that.
Because,
It was.
you know, a consultant usually provides a turnkey service.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why you have them. And if they don't do it here, I gotta follow up and investigate, you know, get some answers.
Yeah, I would say see about, okay, I mean,
My question is, the contractor got a contract to perform a certain amount of work. I mean, their contract was very explicit. And are you saying that they went above and beyond what was required of them, or what they did was in their contract and they just want more money?
So they went above what was, so it's not uncommon to have change orders. But change orders under grants, when you're dealing with grants, is for unforeseeable things that you run into. Like, for instance, that a septic and electrical is not unforeseeable. You know that you have to have that with a new construction. So say my parents would have had to have extra loads of dirt, like the dirt that's on there for their pad or whatever. That's unforeseeable because when they got on the property and started working, then it required a little bit more dirt. So that's unforeseeable. Those things are not. That's something that as a contractor and being a good steward of grant money, and he builds houses all the time, you know approximately what septic and electric costs, so you include that in your initial bid.
Right.
And he did it.
So another question is, whenever he gets to a portion of the job that he realizes he didn't include in the contract, wouldn't it be advisable to stop and negotiate the change order prior to completing the work? I mean,
And not just deal directly with the citizens.
the standard procedure is what I'm asking.
I would think so.
I understand where Mr. Elfenberger would have said, you know, there's money left in the grant to cover this, so it's okay. But then if that's not the case, then this should have been, you know, discussed in more detail.
Exactly. What they would then do is, before the stuff is done, they have to have an approval.
Right.
That's typically what you do.
I agree with that, but if there's money in the grant, I mean, why are we even talking about it?
There's not enough money in the initial grant. So there are SHIP funds that if the family qualified for the CBDG grant, then they qualify for the SHIP funds. The problem with the SHIP funds is this additional 10 years lien on their property on top of the 5 years that the CBDG grant. And the CBDG, I mean, the SHIP fund is on $25,000 from my understanding, or $25,000 for the total of them. I don't know. But so that's the problem that all of the homeowners are having because they weren't initially told this, and this all came about suddenly. And another one of my main issues is, aside from that, is the cost of this septic. This is unreal.
Yep.
And I called the company that provided the septic systems for them, and they only charge $3,800 for the sewage and the drain field. So how do you get $6,000 for the septic and $6,000 for the drain field?
My question would be, is this a contract dispute?
I haven't seen the contract, they have looked at the contract, I can't answer that.
Right. I think we need to start there. And let someone look at the contract that was executed and then
You give me all the paperwork, I'll be happy to look.
go over the change orders and see was not included in the original contract, and then
And another thing, I am requesting that these homeowners be allowed to move into these homes. Because one citizen doesn't even have, she don't have water in her other home. So because they told her she would be moving in last Wednesday. So she doesn't have water. So she's towing water back and forth between the houses. And this is not in any way, shape or form their fault. This is something that the town has to deal with. and
But the
rectify.
septic's already in.
Everything, the houses are complete and ready to move in. They're just holding the keys because of these change orders.
I think let Mr. Howard look at it and see, and if, as soon as you can make a determination, then we can
Get
look
those
at
keys.
whether or not we can send them a letter and say, gotta give the keys up.
Understand.
All right, so that's that.
Do we need a motion for that, just give it Mr. Ireland and let him look
I
at it?
think we just give it to Mr. Allen and let him figure it out. Number 7, the water line for Dees and Hills Family Park. So as we know, the signs with the flower beds were put around, but there's no flowers. The Garden for Change is offering to do Dees Park, flowers, but they requested a water line
Yes.
be, put in so it can be watered and all, because it's not out there. And I would like to request the same thing for Hills Family Park, so that they can be nice flower beds, but we need. a
Now, there's
line.
water at the park. Is
Right,
this-
they just need a water line to go to
Okay,
where
I
the
mean, it's,
flower bed is.
I'm not against it, but I'm just saying it's not 20 yards.
Yeah. But you also, I mean, I don't know what, the one at Hills Family Park is way out by the road. The other one at Dees Park, you could possibly just, you know, have holes and water there, but then somebody would have to be responsible for removing the holes because of liability. So I don't know if the council wants to approve for, water lines to be added at Dees and Hills Family Park. And while we're on Hills, the clay that the county gave us is deteriorating because there's weeds and everything growing all up in it, same condition before. So we may wanna look into having it sprayed, for the weeds, because if not, we're gonna be in the same position it was before.
I don't know if it's sprays, I don't know.
I think you can
Ins and
spray
outs of that.
them.
I'm against the spray. I know that you
Yeah.
can. But have they been pulling that down? I mean,
I don't think so.
No.
who said no? I'm curious. You know that for real? I'm
So-
not-
I know that.
Okay,
Maybe
Well,
if that
that's a
was
problem.
being done, the weeds wouldn't be growing up. in the
that's
clay.
the problem.
Let's put
because
a
I-
work order in on that.
Yeah. But we already had that face to face, the person who pulls the drag, so that's disappointing.
And so, I was gonna ask you, so the water line, we'd have to hire a plumbing company to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or maybe we should just get quotes.
I would say yes to the
Quotes, okay,
Quotes.
Yes.
Yeah. so I move that we, approve getting quotes for that and move forward with the lowest bid.
I second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Good. Richard, did you wanna say anything?
Just if you guys had questions about why we were asking for it, I just want to be available.
We sure appreciate Guardian for Change doing that.
And thank you.
I would really like to talk, if that's okay.
Great bid.
We're almost there.
Thank you.
Do you have something?
That was a water line.
Mhm.
The county's running that system for you and they put it in. That's part of your current service. I mean, I have to get a quote, may talk to them and see.
So Joe,
So David
Sure.
Cross,
Call them first.
thank you.
good, Greg, Mr. Bailey.
And then number 10 was Buster's retirement plaque, which I think we already, touched on.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything additional the town does for somebody that's put in that many years of service.
Well, you could have like a little luncheon or something, you know? It's typically what you see, you know, even if it's without one, just with a card, you give them a plaque at that time.
Or maybe we could do a gift card for him and his wife to go to
Yeah.
dinner and have dinner or something somewhere. So how much would you all say for the gift card?
And I don't know, I'm just saying that.
What is, how much?
I'm just off the top of my head saying 50.
For dinner and then wine?
I don't know what 50 is gonna get.
I said,
I said
I'm
100.
$100.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm eating cheap. I am, not Buster, I am.
So I move that we, approve the purchase of Buster's retirement plaque and a gift card for $100.
I second that. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, moving on. Number 10 is Train Depot, Monica.
Yes, so it was brought to my attention that there was someone, an in-house person housing at the train depot. They had a tent on the backside and all. And I think she was up there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've seen it.
think she's gone, but I think the sheriff did address it, but I don't think they can do anything without our direction. So I don't know what we have to do as far as trespassing or putting up signs after business hours. There's no, whatever. I mean, it's not even being used anyways. But I think the no trespassing signs were taken down, and I think that was a part of her argument, that,
Oh,
which is
no.
why she was up there.
No, you can't just go set a tent up on the
Yeah.
porch of the
We'll go
depot.
over what's just those things, but anyway, but,
Yeah,
that's
so
gonna be free.
I don't know if that's the clerk calling the sheriff and letting them know that.
I walk by her every night with the donuts. I could let y'all know.
Hold on, please.
So I just wanted to bring it to the council awareness that there was somebody up there. It's no
Were
longer
you
there.
aware of this, Joe?
No,
Okay,
no.
I would just like to be made aware if something like that's going on. I'm always having to report problems over there at Dees Park, and I know Lonnie and his wife have had to do that too, because we've got campers, we even had a camper for like a week several years ago. And lights are always out, and there's always activity in the dark under there, so I would just like to know rather than a citizen call me, if y'all know, send one of those emails that you do not respond to. Okay, Lonnie, I'm sorry.
Mr. Allen, I believe Florida has a state law now that you can't have public or something, you know, anything about that?
I'll find out.
Okay, so from my experience, when somebody shows up over there at East Park and they hang around for a couple of days, the sheriff's department will go over there and tell them that they can't camp there. They can sit there all day long until the park closes. And I think East Park has a sign out there that says it closes at dusk. The new sign may have hours, I don't know. But anyhow, they will tell them that they can sit there all day long until it closes, then they can't camp there. So they will cooperate with us on that.
And I'll just add, because you said it just sitting there, we need to get past the depot just sitting there. It's been sitting there for years, and I don't mind saying that's been one of my little pet peeves. So get that up and running and rented and activity going on there, because when it just sits, it becomes stagnant and then problems develop. All right, planning and zoning, Monica,
No, we covered that already.
okay. With the board, with,
Mhm.
okay. All right, public comments, name,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
With the way I'm dressed, I got off work and I had to wait for my car for too many hours.
Just tell us who you are, please.
Evelyn Plan, I live at 251 Sea Road Court. The sewer plant is in my front yard. I was never notified of anything. Been in contact with the mayor. I'm in contact with Tallahassee. I've been very bummed. This is horrible. I spent almost $100,000 buying this property for 15 years as a divorced mother. I 2009 I moved there. And now I'm facing, well, you know what I'm facing. I'm facing feces spray. I'm facing noise. I'm facing contaminating my well. And why was I not notified? Oh, Monica came to my house. We didn't know there was a house here.
I never told you that.
Yes, you did. My husband just. went to
I
get food.
never told you that.
You
I
said we
came to
had
your
no
house.
idea there was a house on this road that was not this close. Yes, ma'am.
No, I
That's why I was
did
happy
not.
to see you here.
No,
Yes,
I
you
said I
did.
did not know why you didn't
Okay.
receive a notification. I never told you I didn't know a house was there. I know houses was there all my life, but I
Okay.
didn't know that. Why you didn't receive notification. I then called the clerks and they said, I called Kelly and Kelly said she would look into it. I asked her for the mail list of who was notified because I know we even sent people out of state. That's what I told you, notifications. So I didn't know why you didn't receive a notification,
Also,
but I
all
would
the
ask
neighbors
for
around
the mail list.
the plant had no idea.
Yeah, but I told you, I knew homes were there, but I don't know why you didn't receive notice is what I told you.
No, that's not what my husband just went to the, that's okay, you can say whatever you want. Here's the thing, this is my home, I'm 60 years old, I worked at Plums forever. This is my little place of heaven. So without breaking down in tears, what are we gonna do about it?
Go ahead.
So where's your house at from here? You go down Wilson Springs or?
No, I am the one right in front of it all. I am maybe 300 feet from it all. I live on Steve Road
backside?
Court, right there,
I don't know where that's at, that's what I'm asking.
of course, no one does.
There's a buffer in between her home and what she's saying the
Some
Truitt,
trees.
is, so there's 4 homes that I counted that's back there. Her home is not the closest one. The closest one is up further by the road.
Are we talking
And it
about
sits
backside of the spring?
Yes.
'Cause
Yes.
I've been in there, I've seen the
Yes.
spray.
So
That's
it looks,
Harry.
right now, it's a clear view because there's no trees or anything there. But I talked with someone who said that was it you, Greg? That the
Ricky.
trees, Ricky, that they have plans to replace like the trees and the things like it won't
You
be
can't replace
visible.
the trees,
Or-
it's power lines. You cannot put trees to barrier, it's power lines. That whole is power lines, you cannot put trees there.
I'm not sure, that's what I was told.
And I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, but there is a buffer already between her
There's a
home.
buffer, they're telling me that's
And her.
50, 60 feet from my well, my home, that I have. Listen, y'all. We gotta do something about this. This is not fair to me. I can afford to move. I can't afford these prices, nor should I have to move. I put my second home on this property. I should have gotten letters. I would have been here fighting. I'm just like this, I put on my Jamie's and, well, they're still there. Maybe I can have a say. And then I hear, well, it's gonna happen anyways. Well, I have stuff to Tallahassee. I wanna know what we can do to make sure feces doesn't go into my well and go, this is just, and the noise and this is just wrong. This is wrong.
Well, I don't think we're anticipating feces going into your well.
It's a spray, it's a spray plant. We've done all of our research. And when they showed the map where it was going, it showed no homes there. It was supposed to go over by Brown's Racing, all of that property. He says no. Okay, fine. So I have one plan, don't know the wiser, she don't come to meetings. Because I work all the time. I can't be here to sit here for hours. God bless you guys for doing it. I can't. I don't make a lot of money.
Well, if I can say something, first of all, you know, I understand why you're upset. I may be upset if I was in the same position, but, you know, I do feel for you. However, these decisions were made by, the council long before I got on here and long before the majority of these council members. This has been in the works for, well,
Since
there's not gonna
2021,
be an excuse given then.
since 2021, which I was still not notified about it. I've been here since 2009.
If you let me finish. I was trying to say that this has been in the works for many, many years. And so, with that being said, there's been multiple public meetings, and I believe that you didn't know about them for whatever reason, but there were multiple public meetings. And before this council right here, the 5 of us voted to move forward on this, we had a public meeting and we made sure that every property owner in Fort White
Did you?
was mailed out.
Did we get, our
I mean,
neighbors didn't
we
either?
mailed them out, so
You did
anyhow,
not.
we had a meeting down there at the community center.
Yeah, and you know
There
what?
was a large turnout,
Do
and
you
there
know
were,
what with the community center? And tonight, I was even told there was a meeting. The mayor said, let me propose something to them. What are you expecting? What are you asking? And I'll let them know at the next meeting. I had an ex-commissioner tell me this meeting was here today. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known either. Y'all have had this hush hush. Excuse me?
I'm sorry, I was just gonna point out, with you coming in the door is the first I've heard about it.
Terry,
Yes.
You're on my Facebook. So it's a couple other people. And I made comments, so that is wrong.
Okay.
And I don't wanna argue, I just wanna say, what are you gonna do about this?
Let me finish. I don't
Yes.
think you don't mind. So anyhow, what I'm saying is that this has been discussed, it's been planned, and I can't speak for the experts. But these things are planned so that they're not pumping raw sewage out into people's yards. So that may not make you feel much better, but I am positive that this is not a threat or danger to your health. And
Oh, it's not
I'm
gonna be low water.
gonna go out on a limb and say that there is probably no worries about well contamination in the area. So with that being said, I do feel for you, I understand what you're saying, but this
So
is
it's
a
okay to
project,
spray shit in my front yard.
this is a project that the town has worked on for many years. And there are
To do growth,
safeguards
to
in
do
place.
growth, and to build our community, our little community, up to be all of this stuff. I get it, I see Rocky Ford stuff being built. I get it. I've been here a long time. So that being said, I'm talking to Tallahassee right now and I'm complaining. And if you're telling me there's nothing I can do about it, then I'm gonna have to go a little further.
Well, I'm not telling you that. I
Oh,
mean,
well-
you are a citizen, you have the right to do whatever you feel like you.
But I'm one
do.
person.
I'm not saying that. I'm just
You left
telling
me
you.
out of everything. I'm right there in front of it. There's a tree farm in front of me, not really a tree farm, it's only got a few trees. You left me and my home right there, the only one there, except for the one way in the back that the tree farm guy owns. You left me out of the loop, and you're gonna contaminate my yard. And you're gonna have this big old plant in front of me. And you go, oh, if I was in your boat. So, I'm asking you. You gotta do something to put a barrier up. You gotta do something for my home. I can't do this. I can't afford to move. These houses are going for $400,000. I cannot afford to move. I am 60, almost 61 years old. This is my home. I need something to protect me from looking at all this shit. My dog's barking at everything over there. All this, I just can't. I can't. I need at least something so that I can pretend that that world doesn't exist. And I'm sorry to say that out loud. That might seem a little weird to you, but I've been here a long time in the woods and I liked it. So.
We all kind of, or at least I do. But I think we can investigate what a barrier would entail. I mean, not some 30-foot
I'm not
wall,
asking for
but
Trump's wall.
foliage. Yeah.
I believe that they've
I just, you
already,
guys have no idea how passionate I've planted hundreds of trees on my yard for a barrier. I put everything into my yard. This is, I'm not prepared to move.
I believe that they have exceeded the minimum barrier, so I'll get with, our consultant and I'll try to, if you wanna leave your, well,
I did.
you.
I did, so they're way over the
Right.
barrier. And the tanks are not even sitting on the property line there. I think what she sees is the construction going on and all the things that's been uprooted, but when it's all said and done, she won't even be able to see it. So they're replacing trees or, you know, whatever, and it's within the grant
I can't
amount and
replace
it's
trees,
already
it's
in
on the
there.
power line.
But that's what I was told. So I contacted them and they said it was already worked out, it was in the process, they knew about it, and they would be replacing trees and shrubbery, so she would be able to see.
Mr. Bailey, can
Yes,
you
sir.
add anything to that?
No, ma'am, y'all basically got everything, I mean, there'll be restoration work done. You see the minimum requirements, it's well within the property boundaries of the town limits. So, we exceed every setback requirement, that you have for any sort of wells, septic tanks or anything like that. So we need all the state requirements for all of that.
Ma'am, when we,
Tallahassee.
Hmm?
KP Tallahassee.
No,
ma'am, when we spoke, so I did speak to the engineer. And that extra about, I think it's about 100 or so feet on town property. This council could potentially, Reggie, stop me where I'm wrong here, because I, but put up additional vegetative buffer, like we discussed a little bit, so that I don't really know how much is, 100 feet vegetative buffer is a good little bit, I would think. So I don't know how much after the construction is done you would see, especially if we do a vegetative buffer. So that's why I said, ma'am, if you send it to me in an email.
As I did.
Oh, did
I
you?
emailed you today.
Okay, oh, I haven't seen it yet, okay, I
It's
believe you.
okay. No,
I was gonna take that, present it to the council, because we actually did approve other change orders today.
And you said, when we get to the meeting, and I got word that the meeting was tonight, one of the meetings, so I was starting to go home and I put on my cameras to go get dinner, and I'm like, I'm coming in because I had to build up my strength to do this, because I'm not a speaker.
So what we'll do is, we'll work with the clerk, I'll say, who could maybe work with the engineer to get a potential change order for that.
It's not needed, it's already there, that's what I'm saying, it's
The
already
vegetative buffer
in
is going to be
place.
put in.
That's what he told me, I called and he said, yeah, we're aware of it, we're gonna put a buffer and she won't, they won't.
So what about the spray? The spray is gonna be in front of my home, but in front of the property, the spray is supposed to go right there. So you got the plant, and then the spray is supposed to go so many feet from, in a ditch from my home, is what I read in the map.
There is a buffer already between your homes, so regulations had to be met from the other property owners line also. So if we had to meet regulations for that, then your home is way off from that, so the spray is not gonna be in your
So
front
what
yard.
is that gonna mean for my property value if I choose?
I can't answer that for you, ma'am, I'm
Exactly.
just saying that the spray, there's a whole buffer already between your property, and then they're gonna add an extra buffer, and so we had to meet regulations for it to not even touch the other people's property that's before your property, before it gets to your property, so I'm pretty sure it's way lower, exceeds the limits from touching your property.
As far as the spray field, again, Greg, you stop me where I'm wrong, because I'm just going based on what I remember speaking to Ricky. So I was actually under the impression, because I had seen it before, like driving down agricultural, and it was just like sprayed high into the air. But from my understanding, it's only like not even, 4 feet above the ground? As far as where the nozzles are gonna spray from, so I
But
don't.
it's starting at 50,000 gallons, and it's gonna go up to 100,000 gallons. When Rocky Ford builds that stuff, it's gonna go exceed the 100,000 gallons, spraying into the ground right there in front of me.
So there's limits, so like for the 50,000 gallon capacity initially that's proposed, I think the spray field is spread out over 7-8 acres.
yes, sir. You got an advanced wastewater treatment plant, is what's going in. It treats it to a very high level, and then you basically irrigating grass. We're growing hay out there.
With
Basically what
chemicals. You're putting chemicals in.
we're irrigating with water that's left over from the treatment process.
Which is
The
chemicals.
very water that you drink that goes in your septic tank is the same water that we're dealing with here.
That's the one.
You got a septic tank? You got a septic tank too, ma'am. The very water you drink. We live on a great big blue ball, and all this blue ball does is recycle water, and that's all we're doing here.
A blue ball, meaning the world?
Me and the world.
Did you just try to,
I'm trying to.
really?
So, ma'am, so
Good job.
So on our end, what we'll do, ma'am, is we're just gonna it sounds like it probably might already be taken care of, but
Yes.
Verify.
we'll just verify that, and the amount of the vegetative buffer. And then when I get clarity, I'll give you, I already have your number, I'll give you a call back. Yes, ma'am.
DEP will finish, and if you get me all set back.
I don't think they do, and I was never notified. So I already have a complaint in there, plenty of complaints with my neighbors to FDEP.
It's from the property line, as long as she's not on town property or setback.
I am in the town of Fort Wayne.
No, not on, your property is your property, not the town's property. We go from the boundary line of the town's property out there. And we meet that setback. As long as we meet that setback and we show DP that the town meets that setback, that's what they're looking at. They're not really looking at your property or Terry's property or Mr. Harrell's property or anybody else. They're looking at the property that is being signed for that project and the property boundary for that. So once we meet those minimum setbacks, they check that and then they say everything's okay because they've established what those minimum setbacks are. In this particular case, what I understand is your setback is even further away than.
And
what
that's
the
why it took
minimums are.
7 years to get this approved. Okay. I'm done for now. Thank you for listening.
I don't know if it's any reassurance, but Ms. Merritt's talked about it. You're right now going through the construction period. And if you drive through the town, you can see the whole town's pretty much torn up while that's going on. So that's upsetting. And, we talked about earlier
I understand
in
progress,
this meeting,
and I'm okay with
how
that.
that would be restored.
It's what's gonna be sprayed and stuff in my house and here, and hearing, and it's chemicals.
And Mr. Helfenberger is gonna investigate additional foliage, Mr. Mayor, or
Yes.
whatever additional barrier we can do to make you feel more
And I
comfortable.
appreciate you, Mr. Thomas, for hearing me. So hopefully we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Mr. Foley. I'm running.
No problem.
I'm just gonna tell you, I'm not building anything inside the town.
No, I know you changed it. We got you. We know. Okay. We know.
Other citizen comments?
Make a request to the council, good, Mark Grigg is here. I noticed they tore up the bike path, going through, Dorinda, I guess, and, didn't know what was coming out, but that, where Dorinda and Ellis meet, there was no driveway culvert or cross drain that were put under that. And, an old bike path was down in the water all the way back up the wind stream. And, elevation wise, I guess what I'm asking is when they reconstruct that bike path, could they look at potentially putting a cross drain back it, or either they may prefer a little swale, but there's a DOT drain pipe at 27 there along Ellis, and the bike path is damming the water up, or it is overflowing the bike path, but once it gets to the top of it, it dams water back up the whole thing, so.
Mr. Pitts, can you email that to Joe to see if we can,
Yeah, I sent one to his engineer today, but I'll forward it to you and just see if they can look at it. But just probably pitching that bike path down as it comes off the road, but flow across or either a drain, but it is definitely going to do. All right, thank you.
Any more citizen comments? I wanna make a motion to adjourn,
I have a council member comment.
my bad.
So I don't, there has been, I don't know if any of the other council members know, but at the corner of, Jordan Street and 27, where the train used to, so there's a lot of construction equipment randomly there and just housed there. It's like an eyesore to the downtown area. There has been this dump truck there for months with a for sale sign on it. And are we selling dump trucks now? Like, why are they allowed to house their stuff there and put a for sale sign on it? I don't know. Across from the mirror, across from,
Sitting in Jordan, it's been sitting there over a month.
27 inches, so like so.
Yeah, and I don't think the public workers can
It's
even
on the
maintain,
city property.
I don't think they can even maintain it, it's just growed up, it just looks awful because they just lay whatever they want out there, and I don't think.
I think that's on the Duke property, right?
It is.
Duke,
You own that, I think.
Oh, what's the easement?
Yeah, the easement, but it's the easement area that they have the stuff.
Got a price tag on it?
It does, it's a for sale sign sitting right up there on it, it's been there for months, just sitting there, it's very ill, like kept, it's
Well,
just, it looks horrible.
One of our public works guys needs to get the number, because if there's a for sale sign, there's a phone number, we can ask them to move it.
Sure.
But it is on Duke's property.
I think it's Duke, I'm not positive.
It is,
There's no
because
number
we
for it,
talked
is
about
there?
that concerning the depot.
I don't know, yeah, it's not there. Yeah, we can ask.
If it requires making a call to Duke as well.
That's something,
We haven't seen that, but there's always, there's cones and everything. All right, is that it?
Is there council member comments? Motion to adjourn.
I say.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What's the big blue ball? What is the big blue ball? What? The big blue ball. It's water. Earth.
Is that ours?
Oh, yeah. You haven't seen the glue?
Did you think about what we spoke about before?
I thought about it, yeah. I ain't been quiet.
Sir?
I don't know.
We're actually gonna turn the house across the street.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do housing to be extreme. Oh, yeah, that whole green space inside.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
I thought they said that for a while.
Yeah, because so crazy.
I'm asking about the plant sale. He said, y'all doing so good.
It's Richmond, and you know, like, or something, stuff like that. That's how the conference.
Oh, I'll take the site.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, wait, one, go out, let's go.
Have a good idea.
Oh, Bill on that stuff, she said he was.
Good night,
No, good night. How you doing? I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Take care.
With a little.
Everybody.